Howdy mates, how are we all doing? Here's a part 3 video over at the Corkscrew Sanctuary, and we're actually approaching towards the end of the boardwalk. We're almost there, but not quite yet. But as part of this video, I actually wanted to talk a little bit about this right here. Hopefully you guys can read a little bit. Give me just a second. Yeah, there you go. Should be able to read it a bit better. So this talks about a nurse log. So basically, what that means is when a tree falls over, such as this bald cypress right here, it has a chance to decompose over time. And when that happens, it actually provides a stable source for new life, especially in the form of plants. For instance, what we're seeing right over here is our well-known Boston fern. And in terms of why it's called Boston fern, I couldn't tell you. I guess they have a blunder, you could say. And, I had to say in that Bostonian accent. So even though some of the trees are dead, in a sense, they are still alive because they are providing life. Not only that, but even our wildlife can use these fallen logs as a refuge, in a sense, sort of like an island. But really the main basis of why I wanted to make this video was to actually make a discussion on something called phytoncides. Now I know that sounds rather scientific, but it doesn't have to be. When you hear phytoncides, you may think, does it refer to something chemical? I mean, in a sense, you are right. It is like a chemical compound. Now, these phytoncides are actually emitted from trees, such as the bald cypress in this instance. Now, what these phytoncides can do is actually quite a wonder, in a good way. For instance, phytoncides can actually act as an antibacterial form of treatment for the human body. And it can also help boost our immunity upon exposure. And usually the best way to become exposed to these phytoncides lurking in the air is to inhale. Breathe in, breathe out. And there you go. I mean, we're in a forest that produces such a high volume of oxygen. And with that being said, we owe quite a bit to this forest, for instance. How it's providing us a means to breathe. But I'm going to try to not get too sidetracked. But I would say out of those benefits I did mention about phytoncides, I would say the best benefit is what I'm going to mention right now. So we have white blood cells called natural killer cells, or just NK. Now, so when you hear about white blood cells, we often associate those with, fighting infection or fighting or trying to rejuvenate a weakened immune system. You see, the thing is, when we have exposure to these phytoncides for usually 2 or 3 days, which is about as long as I've actually been immersed in nature, because I decided to do a long weekend for it. These natural killer cells actually provide more activity in 2 or 3 days if you're immersed in nature than if you really weren't in a matter of 30 days. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you're in nature for a long weekend, your natural killer cells are doing 30 days worth of work. So it's literally nature provides healing. And trust me, like, I'll even share an article if some of you don't want to believe me. But it actually is proven. So don't just take it from me. Don't take just my word for it. Because, of course, if any of you want to read a bit further on it, that's what I will share an article for, or a couple. Because that's the point of some of my posts, is I post like a link or two from credible sources, so that if any of you are further interested, you can learn more about it. As of course I can't really cover it in one single video. So really, the point of me really making this video is spend time in nature when you can, either on your own or with a friend, or if you're even with your loved ones. And just take it in, you know? You don't even really need to talk either among each other. Sometimes you need a moment of silence too. I mean, even when I was meeting with Betty Osceola, you know, we didn't necessarily talk the entire time, you know, because we were both taking it in, you know, some of the places we were visiting. That's really the point. Okay, hold on just a second. Yeah, and that's really the point that I'm trying to make, is get out in nature when you can and try to learn too. Understand what it is you see. That way it just doesn't feel as superficial. So, and you know, don't always go for a set time either. Because you don't want it to feel rushed. So, okay, you guys, thank you for watching. And once again, Journey on a Journey is ours. Take care, folks. See ya. And enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.